Hey guys, my name is Janet, aka J Aesthetics. If you are new here, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. So, today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of competitive bodybuilding. If you guys did not know, I am a bikini bodybuilder and I have been competing for about 4 years now. I know that I owe this video to you guys, but I've been a little caught up. All right, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of been like hard to manage, like, work, prepping for my next competition, and managing my other social media platforms that I use, like, Instagram and TikTok, and to do YouTube at the same time, and to manage to have like a social life, which I almost don't have, but I do have a boyfriend and a cat, which is my daughter. Anyway, so we're gonna be talking about the pros and the cons because it actually came in highly requested. All right, so I'm gonna kind of bounce around between the two because it's hard for me to like get my thoughts straight. I'm gonna blame it on my ADHD, even though I'm gonna blame it on that because I can. So I've been competing for about 4 years now. Well, the first time I stepped on the stage was 2018. We're in 2022 now. So I took a year off last year, but I was competing from 2018, 19, 20. Took the year off, and I have been prepping for my composition for the past 5 months. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about the pros and the cons, and I hope I can shed some light to you guys about the industry and about competitive bodybuilding. And if you're thinking about competitive bodybuilding, you should be doing all the research that you possibly can, listing all the pros and cons, seeing what you like and don't like, and making a decision after that. Now, if by the end of this video you get completely turned off and you never want to think about doing it, good. So first, I want to start off by saying I absolutely love competing. I've been doing it for about 4 years now, and there's so much that I like about it that it outweighs the cons for me. Understand that this is going to be completely subjective, and this is based on my experience and how I feel about it, and also kind of trying to give you the most objective point of view, and then you can make your decision on that. Or if you guys are just like listening in. So there's a few things that I'm gonna list that I absolutely love about it. Number one, you get to learn so much about your body. I have been able to understand what my body likes and what it doesn't like, all the foods that it can possibly be sensitive to, because when you compete, you're basically cleaning up all of your foods. The more whole foods that you get, the better obviously the outcome. Because when it comes to competitive bodybuilding, understand that you are trying to get to your leanest, all right, while preserving and maintaining the muscle that you have, which you end up losing some in the process, but you want to keep the most that you possibly can. Now, when it comes to that, that's a positive for me, where I can learn about my body. The negative aspect of that is that it's not a sustainable thing. Okay, so first things first, to get this out of the way, competitive bodybuilding is not a diet, okay? It's not a sustainable way to live your life. You're literally like competing, hopping on stage, competing for the best look. So we're talking about like bodybuilding meets beauty pageant because it is a subjective sport. You're hoping that you're the one that gets chosen, right, at the end of the day. So you have to be okay with that. So because of that, there is a fine line between obviously regular fitness, people that are working out and dieting, and people that are hopping on stage to compete. And because of that, I think that a lot of people just don't understand. Just because I'm dieting like you are, or I'm doing cardio, or I'm lifting weights, I'm doing it for very aesthetic reasons. And health, as what you ever think about it, that shit is out the window. So a lot of people, they try to think, oh, she has abs, she's chiseled, or whatever the case is. she's in a healthy body. The thing is that you can't really compare that, and you can't even really tell who's healthy or not when it comes to whatever their body looks like. To me, that's like, I don't know if that exists anymore. And I know that a lot of times people in their head, they think that this is the epitome of what a healthy body is supposed to look like. And to be honest, hell the fuck it does not. Okay, what we do is extreme. What we do is not sustainable. All right, and that's why I tread very carefully about the information that I post on any of my social media platforms about exactly what I do. Like, I never tell people what my calories are. I never tell people exactly what I do step by step, because even if I tell them don't do that, they're gonna go ahead and do that because they're like, I want to look like that. Even though you can do all those things and still not look like me. People are going to literally take what I do literally and translate and think that it'll translate to them. And it's not, like I said, this is not a sustainable way of living. Now, why I love it is because, number one, you need extreme discipline in able to do this. All right. Not everybody can. I like the fact that I can do something that is incredibly challenging. And although it's challenging for me, it's equally kind of like easy for me to do. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I never like really fall into temptation. I can see something there. I can literally have my food prepped in my face, and my boyfriend just comes home with fucking fried chicken and waffles and eats it in my face, and I'm there like, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't, you know. And if you're going into the sport thinking like I'm always thinking about like food and whatever, it's not for you. And I'm gonna go back and tell you why these things might not be for you. Okay, so the other thing that I like is the fact that you're able to learn about your body. I was able to learn about all the foods that affect me in a negative way, and all of like even like the training protocols that are optimal for me, because they're going to be optimal for certain individuals, right? Some people, their bodies react more to certain foods that say certain carbohydrates do not sit well with them. For me, it will, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. You'll end up learning about your body. I know my body now, inside and fucking out, and that's because of all the foods that I've been like playing around with. At the end of the day, it becomes like a science project. So another pro to this is the fact that I can like focus on every single thing. I actually work well under pressure, and while some people don't, I really do. And maybe it's my past traumas that kind of like chaos, but it gives me the kind of chaos that I need and that I can also control. And the fact that I can control everything that I do, I like it. I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing psychologically, but to me, I use it to my advantage. Another thing I love is that you get to push yourself not only physically, but mentally. The last couple weeks, which is where I'm at now, it is absolutely exhausting, which is a con. And I mean exhausting to the point where, like, if it wasn't for me competing, I'll be like, I'm not even getting up out of my bed today. All right, that's how fucking tired you are. But you have to mentally push yourself to that, to train, to do cardio. Right now I'm doing an hour of cardio, 30 minutes that are like intervals, and on the Stairmaster, and intervals on the treadmill. It is brutal, okay? And the fact that I can push myself to those limits, no, I know that it's just not a physical thing. It's a mental barrier that I can break. And I actually translate that into other areas of my life that I need to, like, I don't know, you know, boundaries with people, relationships, even like career-wise. The fact that I can do something, like, it just, I don't know, it's something that I like. Anyway, so with that comes a few cons that I wanted to talk about that I know that a lot of people don't talk about it. But I'm going to tell you this. If you have not created a positive relationship with yourself, also with food, stay all the way the fuck away from competitive bodybuilding, because one thing that it does is that it mind fucks you in two different ways. One, body dysmorphia. Everybody goes through it. I go through it all the time. It's either I don't look good enough, I don't look lean enough, or when I'm outside of my competition immediately after and I'm starting to gain the weight back, because you're supposed to gain the weight back. You're supposed to gain, obviously, healthy weight. You cannot stay that lean, and I'm going to talk about why. But it causes that kind of body dysmorphia that when before it was I'm not ready, or I'm not lean enough, or maybe I'm just too lean, because it kind of gets a little nasty towards the end. You're like really shredded to the bone, where like your facial structure looks different. Everything looks very, very different. Like an average person with that much muscle mass usually doesn't get that lean, and you wouldn't understand what that feels like until you actually get there. All right, it's weird, and it starts getting weirder when you start gaining the weight back, because you can actually feel the weight and the fat on your body, and that can fuck with you. All right, from you going extremely lean to even gaining 5-10 pounds, you feel like a whole whale, but you know that in your head you have to tell yourself, that's just my mind doing its thing. It is what it is. Some people actually don't get over that. So what happens is that they are obsessed with staying stage lean all year round, and what happens is that causes a detriment to your health. And when I say detriment, especially women, we are not supposed to be at that much of a low body fat, because some people actually lose their menstrual cycle. All right, then they lose it for a really long time. Some people develop metabolic issues like hyperthyroidism, like Hashimoto's. I'm not saying that you automatically get that, because you don't. All right, you have to take care of yourself, and this is why it's very important for you to choose a coach that is very on top of your health, because if you do not, they will fuck your shit up. Okay, very important for you to have that relationship with your coach, that they care about your health, because a lot of them, they don't. Okay, so another con is, well, an extension of that con is that people developed a lot of EDs, and I'm gonna put it here because I don't want to say that, because it might trigger something in the in YouTube. But people do develop that, and they don't even know that they do. So it can create like phobias around food, phobias around fat, all of these things. If you are not headstrong, that'll mess with you. And some people, they should never step on that stage. Okay, they should not. You gotta be headstrong. If not, stay all the way the fuck away from that shit. One of the biggest things that I think that it can be of a detriment, or I see what's happening now, is that there are a lot of people that take PEDs. I'm gonna list it right here, and it's not spoken about enough, because a lot of people don't understand that that gives them an advantage. And it also depends on which organization you're competing in. I compete in the National Physique Committee, that's the NPC. That is the most well known. And if you're a natural athlete, because I've been natural, you will take longer to prep, because you're doing it in ways that are just like normal, right? If you're taking things to enhance your physique, it's going to be a lot faster, a lot easier. You can get shredded as fuck, you know. And I think that aspect, it becomes like addicting. And you know, there's people that have suffered from it, you know, like it causes more of those issues with women, among other things that I'm pretty sure that people just don't talk about. But yeah, that's a big thing. And it's and the reason why it's actually even more of a big thing now, they're moving it moves the goalpost. If you have seen what bikini girls look like even 5 years ago, they look kind of like pretty normal, just, you know, a little lean, and they have little muscle development. Now you got to come in a little bit more hard, or a lot more harder. These girls are looking wild, you know? So it's taking me years just to get somewhere, just to get to a certain look because of that. And I'm not really mad at it that much because I'm still competing in the NPC, and I do like it. I like the challenge, you know. It's just gonna take me a little longer, and I'm okay with that. If I wasn't okay with it, I wouldn't be doing it. But some people, they either succumb to it or they don't, and then they keep on like with the cycle. I hate this place. I've seen people do that, and it's like, just don't compete in it. You can't fight it. All right, that's like, it's almost like if you can't beat them, join them. But you don't have to join them, but don't complain about it, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's a big thing. So EDs, PEDs, and just like long-term health disadvantages if you are not treating your body well. All right, and if, like I said, if this kind of stuff discourages you, then good, because a lot of people shouldn't be competing at all. All right, it can get really weird. People can get really weird around it. Like I said, you create those phobias, and you don't want that shit. So aside from all of that, I know that was like a lot, because it can be. Like I said, the pros to me, for me, they outweigh those cons, because I just don't succumb to that. All right. If you guys have been following me for a while, especially like on Instagram, I spent the whole year and change like in a balance, and also staying like relatively lean, but not to a point where it's causing me an issue like psychologically or mentally or whatever the case is. I have a really strong and good relationship with food, but mostly because I just don't really give a fuck about a lot of things. All right. If I gain a little bit of fat, then I gain fat, you know, like it's just, it is what it is. I spend a lot of my time eating like relatively healthy, actually, for the most part. So what I eat off season is very similar to what I eat on season. I just kind of clean up my food. So instead of like going out, I don't go out to eat. Instead of having some drinks, I don't have drinks at all. I'm obviously a lot more active, so there's a lot more cardio. There's a lot more, not really more training, because I do train regularly 5 days a week because I like to. You know, these are lifestyle things for me, which I can easily just like navigate them into a prep. But it does get hard. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like I said, I'm in like that time where it's the last couple weeks, and it gets like draining, and then, you know, it starts getting weird. Like, you know, my boobs don't look the same. Them shit's left. I don't care about that either. That's another thing. It's like, it is what it is. Some people, they actually get really insecure about them. That's why a lot of girls end up getting their boobs done, which is nothing wrong with that either. You know, honestly, I thought about getting my boobs done a few years ago, and then they told me that I couldn't train for a month and a half or 8 weeks, and I was like, fuck that. I chose to chase the game. So I understand that aspect of it. But other than that, like, it's fun. It's fun. It's I like to push myself to those limits, and I don't think that anybody that's a regular Joe Schmo, regular average goer, should be pushing themselves to that extreme for no reason, because it can cause issues, and you don't want to do that shit. Huge con. That shit is expensive AF, okay? We're talking about from the coaching. If you want to have a good experience, especially with your health, you need to be investing in a coach that will be looking out for you in that aspect. There's a lot of coaches in the industry that do not give a shit and will take your money seriously, and will want to get you into the best shape just so that they can have that in their roster, and don't give a shit about your health. You need to take that into consideration. So getting a coach is expensive. You should not be coaching yourself, even if you are a coach or trainer. All right, you need objective eyes. Also, the food is expensive to begin with, especially now with all this freaking inflation shit. But when it comes to having food, going to the supermarket, buying all the protein, consuming all of that food. Because let me tell you something, I don't know if you guys are under the impression that bodybuilders don't eat, but we eat, and we eat a lot, okay? The suit, bikini suits range from $300 and up. The prettier ones, super expensive. The shoes, it depends, it ranges. So I'm gonna show you guys like the shoes that I've had and how much they cost, so that you. So these are my first pairs of shoes. As you can see, they're like they were like $35. Didn't pay much for that. These are my second pair of shoes. Look a little bit better, but they're probably like $50. Now these were my third pair of shoes. These are the mules from Shoe Fairy. They're actually like specifically for like, you know, these shows. These cost like $60, $70. My latest pair, these right here. These are the Olympic mules. $150 freaking dollars. All right. The cuter you are, the more bling, the more expensive. Yeah. How about that? So one of the pros, confidence and self-esteem. And I'm not even talking about from an aesthetic perspective. We're talking about like mentally. All of the pros that I'm like listing is all like a mental thing. Has nothing to do with like the physical aspect of it. You know, a little abs, a little chisel, it's cute, a little temporary. All right, that's why I'm like about it. But confidence and self-esteem, there is absolutely nothing that boosts your confidence more than telling yourself that you're gonna do something and then following it to its completion. All right, that is extremely important, and you feel so freaking good. All right, because when you prep for months in and months in, all right, like my preps usually last 20 some odd weeks. That's a lot. All right, after that you feel like you can do basically anything. Competing aside, I think that one of my best hacks to building confidence is setting a goal and completing it. All right, there's nothing that boosts your confidence and your self-esteem and your trust with yourself more than completing a task that you made a promise to yourself that you were going to freaking keep. Okay, anyway, so that was my list of the pros and the cons. If you guys want to know anything else, or maybe if I missed something, let me know here in the comments. And if you did find this video helpful or amusing, entertaining, or whatever, make sure you hit that like button, okay, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye.